Dark are the recesses, deep are the gorges. Deep within this organ, or is it an entity that throbs within us? We call it our mind. A very warm welcome to one more session of mind play, or playing with this pliable yet slippery puzzle, our mind. As we talk about the role that the practical part of our subconscious ego plays when it tries to connect the unconscious, which contain the two warring hero and the anti-hero, the id, animal-like id, and the god-like superego, as the ego tries to connect this with the conscious. One more defense mechanism comes to my mind. One more ego defense measure comes to my mind. A very strong ego defense, that is dissociation, which should further intensify and manifest into regression. The former is an ego defense process by which the ego instructs the conscious to dissociate itself from anything that gives it pain, any kind of thought that makes it feel anxious or gives it pain. It tries to ask them to keep away from such thoughts and turn a blind eye to it. For instance, a person who keeps constantly failing at procuring property finally stops making any attempt to buy the same or invest in property. That's negative, because he's pulling himself from a region of being aspirational to moving into a region where he just survives and just pulls along. And in such cases, the mind tells him to keep away from such things. It could further worsen into a situation where a person moves into an earlier psychological age and earlier psychological time. Friends, we often come across people who are in the 50s and 60s who are not able to understand the change in the gender equation these days. They are not able to accept the gender dynamics, and they keep raving and yearning and craving for the old times where gender roles were very clearly defined. And hence they keep moving into that kind of a space and try to create situations, or rather make demands to suit the requirement of those times. This is what is called regression. And regression and dissociation could also take to another level, wherein the mind dissociates itself so much from the pain that it tries to find a representative, an alternate representative. Friends, the famous novel Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde makes you wonder why Dr. Jekyll became Mr. Hyde, or why did he try to become Mr. Hyde? If you read beyond the lines that Robert Louis Stevenson has written in that novel, most people would try to say, or rather would justify, the weird split personality or multiple personality disorder that Dr. Jekyll had was because of the anxiety caused by his research, that he found a representative in the evil Mr. Hyde. The noble Dr. Jekyll found a representative in the evil Mr. Hyde. Well, friends, these are all unusual, very strong, very intense defense measures. Regression, which is moving into a different psychological stage, as well as dissociation. One more example of regression you can imagine: an aging superstar who has possibly lost his entire sheen, trying to go back to his heydays and trying to behave and act like the earlier superstar that he was. That is again regression. Now again, these are all common defense mechanisms that people like you and I normally practice, or rather resort to. But nevertheless, it's very interesting to understand what kind of ranges the mind can take you to. And as we think about these things, we also have a lot of brainstorming happening within us. And there's a lot of fascination that we develop towards this tiny or possibly amorphous entity within us, the mind. Let this fascination grow, dear friends. Let us learn, let us feed on each other's knowledge base through my channel, Ananth Iyer, and let this fascination for our mind grow leaps and bounds. Have a wonderful day.